Hi there. Today on this Jeep Renegade guy, we're going to be installing a new leather steering wheel. Now, this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And the reason for that is my Jeep's actually got a plastic steering wheel. That's one of the things that you gave up when you got the Sport model. And it's something that I've always wished that I actually had a leather one. My previous car was the same way. I bought a base model on that, and it had a plastic steering wheel. But I came across a really good deal on eBay for a brand new steering wheel off of a Latitude, and it should install no problem. Now, I should mention, because we're doing this, this is a safety item that we're working on. You know, it's an airbag. There's a whole bunch of things that could go wrong here. Please use this for kind of entertainment. It's certainly not an instructional, just in case there's something that I do wrong. I don't want you to get hurt. But what I'm using is some information I found online on how to do this with a Dodge Charger. It seems to be pretty similar. I think they actually use the same airbag and stuff like that. So I'm hoping to get through this no problem. But let's go ahead and take a look at the new steering wheel. I've got the steering wheel here in a box. I'm gonna pull this out. So this was being sold by a dealership on eBay, and supposedly it's a brand new steering wheel, and it certainly looks the case. This is pretty nice looking. So you can see here that it's for a 15 through 17 Renegade. I guess it was put up 6 of 17, so it's actually been up for sale for a long time. And this is actually the heated steering wheel version. Now, that heated wire isn't going to work on my Renegade, but everything else should be fine. Going to swap over some buttons, and it should just install. And if we take a look at it compared to the factory steering wheel, you're going to see that overall it's pretty similar in look here. So to go ahead and get started, what we're first going to want to do is we're going to want to pop the hood here, and we're going to go ahead and unplug the battery. It says online that we need to go about 15 minutes, so that way all of the charge in the airbag will disperse. But right here, Jeep makes it nice and easy. You've got this quick release connector. You can unplug and then just wiggle the lead off of your battery. Go ahead and tuck that somewhere to the side, and that's it. So I'll check back in with you in about 15 minutes, and we'll start the steering wheel removal process. All right, more than 15 minutes went by. I took the opportunity to go ahead and clean up the car so it looks nice when the new steering wheel goes in. And underneath, you're going to see these 2 holes. There's one on each side. What those are for is that's actually what's going to pop the airbag off of the car. So what I'm going to try to do is just use 2 Allen keys, fight with it a little bit, and see if I can't get that to open right up. All right, so I'm taking just 2 Allen keys here. Let's see if I can get 2 of these long enough to go in there. Basically, finally have gotten the airbag popped. Now you may notice a little bit different outfit, definitely different weather outside, and that's because the day that I first started to do this, I was super frustrated trying to get the airbag to come out. It just wasn't doing what I wanted. I had been watching a video on how to do it for a Dodge Charger because the steering wheels look pretty similar. Turns out that the clip that's actually on the inside of this is actually attached in a pretty different way than what you get with the Dodge Charger. And I spent probably an hour and a half or so fussing with it about a week ago when I was first trying to do this. Got incredibly frustrated at it. Made some silly decisions trying to, adjust it and that sort of thing. And so anyways, I put it away, waited about a week. We finally have good weather where I'm not out here freezing in the car, and it's popped. And that is pretty exciting. Now, the airbag has come out. When I pull this all the way out, I'll actually show you guys how to do this yourself, because with a little bit better DIY, this really would have been super easy. And that's why I'm making it for you guys. So anyways, I'll sit you back down, and at this point what we need to do is we actually need to unplug the steering wheel. Now, it's always a good idea to touch some metal in the car before disconnecting these wires. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is up top here, there's a little wire. This is going to be for the horn, I believe. A small little connector for the horn that I'm trying to get unplugged first here. So that's what we're going at the moment. All right, so we got that wire popped there, or pulled out rather. So that's our little horn wire. All right, now with the horn unplugged, what we're gonna go ahead and do is these small little orange tabs on the connector, these have to pull up. And that's what's going to allow us to unplug the airbag here. And with that, the airbag is unplugged. So as you can see here, this is the clip that you're trying to get depressed. That's getting pushed in, and I had been missing that. I thought I was going further in to find a metal clip like you do on the Chargers. And if you take a look inside of the steering wheel here, what you're trying to do is there's a small hole in the bottom of the steering wheel, and you're trying to slide the screwdriver. I found it best with a flat blade. It seemed like on the Fiat forums and on the Jeep forums, or excuse me, the Dodge forums, they were using an Allen key to push a metal clip. Whereas on this, it's actually bending that plastic clip in. So what I did, slid in, got a flat blade, and then you just twist, and it actually comes out of sort of the clipped portion on your new steering wheel, or on the steering wheel. And that's what allowed the airbag itself to pop out. So now we're back in with the steering wheel here, and we've got to go ahead and take this off. And to do that, we're going to have to unplug the wire that comes up to the steering wheel. And so we'll go ahead, pull that out. That's the wire that's going to carry all of the information to our steering wheel controls on the car. After that, we'll pop this little plastic cover off, just a little rubber cover, and that gets us to the nut that is on the steering column. Now, the tool we're going to need to undo the nut on the steering column is a 24 millimeter. I did have to pick this up because my tool set at home didn't have it, but we've got that. And now all we need to do is lefty-loosey to pull the steering wheel off. All right, and like that, we've got the 24 millimeter nut, came right off. You can actually see on the inside, it does have some thread locker on it, so we'll need to make sure to put more thread lock on. And from here, we should just be able to pull straight off and just make sure that the wires for our airbag go through nice and smoothly. Boom. Steering wheel's off the car. That wasn't too bad once I figured out how to do it. Now, it's always a good idea to have the steering wheel going straight, just so it's easy to put the steering wheel back on. But if we take a look in here, you can actually see that the notches are actually keyed, so you really only can put this on one way. So not too bad. All right, so I got both steering wheels inside, and it's time to switch over the buttons. But before I do that, what I do want to show you is when I was talking about how I had gotten frustrated and started messing with the back to try to make it easier to take the steering wheel off. What I'm talking about is that small little hole that you're supposed to be sending the screwdriver through. I opened up a little bit, and I didn't think about that too much because I thought the new steering wheel that I'd be putting on would look fine. But if you actually look on top, you can see there's a whole bunch of scratches on this black portion. So I'm going to want to carry that over from from the old steering wheel onto the new one here. And that's just so when you're looking down at the top of the steering column, it's still going to look pretty nice. So on the old steering wheel, what I'm going to want to go ahead and do here is I'm going to begin to take all of this backing off of it, and then we'll see if we can get to the switches. So first up, we've got a little screw down here at the bottom. Unscrew that. Phillips head here. So that pops right off. And then we've got 3 Phillips heads on the back of the plastics. All right, at this point, the back should start to come off, I think. Looks like maybe this needs to pop. Yeah, so that little V down there at the bottom, looks like this can pop off. It's pretty easy. Comes right out. And then now the black plastic should be able to pull straight off. That also looks like it gives us room to get at the wires here right on top. And then it's interesting, the bottom of the steering wheel is not even connected to the hub. So let's go ahead and do that on the other side here. Perfect. And that backside comes right off. We'll go ahead and put the new steering wheel's backside aside. We'll reuse the original. And what I'm going to do is just grab a Dremel and try to clean up this little bit of area so that way it looks a little more like it should be there. Not quite perfect, but I think it looks a little bit better, and I'll be able to get by with that for now. You never know, if I come across one of these little back plastic pieces, I might pick it up just to have it look perfect. But that'll do for now. So let's go ahead and go back to our steering wheel here. What we're going to want to go ahead and do is there's this little trap door to help us pop the little cover off. This is going to give us access to the screw on this particular button. So let's go ahead, unscrew that there. Perfect. So that screw we're going to put to the side here. Do that on the other side. Comes right out. We'll do the exact same thing again. Keep those two screws to the side. On the back side of this here, we've got little switch which is going to allow us to undo the wire. So let's go ahead, unclip that wire, and we've got the same on the other side as well. Boom. Two right to the side. Now at this point, let's see how our buttons come out. It looks like there's a little Allen key right there, and that's going to allow us to pull the buttons out. Place it in, just lefty-loosey, and that should unscrew right out. We got it out. It's just got a little rubber pop that goes into the side there. We've now got switches undone. So from here, we can just slide out the wiring harness. Boom. We've got our buttons all pulled apart, and now the steering wheels are completely stripped. So next up is we've just got to go ahead, take these steering wheels, and go ahead and put the buttons into the new one. Now on the new steering wheel, because my car does not have the heated steering wheel, I'm going to have to go ahead and cut the wires to the heated steering wheel. Reason for that is because with the clock spring that's in my car, it's not going to have a spot for me to be able to put these wires. So like that, it's painful, but it has to go. So now that that's out, what we can start with is just go ahead and start stringing some of these wires together here. And like that, we've got our leather steering wheel all set to go. Now we just got to put it right back into the car. So when putting the steering wheel right back on, we're just going to want to make sure that we slide the airbag connectors straight through. Make sure they don't get hooked up and they're out of the way. And then line the steering wheel up, slide it right back on. So now with the steering wheel back installed, we can go ahead, just plug our connector back. If we remember correctly, that connector right there was actually for the switches. We've got our horn connector, and then of course our airbag connectors. Now, before we said this nut, this had some Loctite on it, so I'm going to go ahead and place a little bit more on it. That way, steering wheel doesn't wiggle loose. So just a little bit of Loctite right onto the thread should be fine. No need to overdo it here. And then this nut can screw right back into place. So with that bolt snug back up, we're going to go ahead and use a torque wrench to tighten it down. So when searching online before doing this install, I wasn't able to find the torque spec for the steering wheel, the nut that's going to hold it on to the steering column. So what we're going to go ahead and use is the torque spec for the Chrysler 300. I was able to find that. It seems like a similar system. Now that was 40 foot-pounds. So I have our torque wrench set, and we're going to set this to 40 foot-pounds. And with that, the steering wheel is now torqued. So only thing left here is to install our airbag. So keep in mind, we do want to maintain and keep the power unplugged from the car. And now we just got to put the steering wheel airbag right back into place. So like before, make sure you touch something on the car that's got metal to it to make sure you don't have any static electricity. If you look at the steering wheel, you've got a blue and a yellow connector, so that should make it really easy to plug these back in. Those just slide right back into place. So it's important to make sure here, those orange clips, those are the safety clips to make sure that it's locked in place, and you want to make sure that you get them both clipped all the way down, and then just go ahead and plug the horn right back in here. So the horn clicks back into place, and we're all set. All we need to do at this point is just slide the airbag right back in. Now it seems to work perfect. And the airbag installed, we're going to go ahead and take our key, place it into the ignition, and turn the ignition on before connecting the battery back up. That way it gives us an opportunity to connect the battery back up and make sure we're not in the way in case the airbag were to malfunction or something we did was wrong. So we've got the ignition on. We'll lift our hood right back up here and reconnect the negative terminal. So lock the terminal in place. We'll go back in. First good sign is that airbag hasn't gone off. Let's go ahead and start the car. And we can restart, and you'll see don't have any codes. Scroll through our settings, all those buttons seem to work. No stored messages. And like that, we're all set. Now keep in mind this video about me installing my steering wheel, this is not a replacement for you either doing all the homework that you need to be able to do it properly, or for you taking it to a professional. This is all safety related stuff. It's really important that I don't want you to get hurt. I also, I ran into my own struggles here. So if you're going to tackle this yourself, make sure you're well informed and you're willing to take on the risks. But otherwise, I think it looks great. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about it. Of course, subscribe. There's a lot more things to come this summer. I've got a little bit of a laundry list as the car's gotten older, so there's some maintenance items to take care of. But overall, I really appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for next time.